Hello and welcome to the Meeple Minded. My name is Jason and this is the Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. It's a bit of a mouthful, let's just call it Lord of the Rings Duel from now on. Lord of the Rings Duel is a brand new 2-player only game from Repros Productions and is somewhat of a Seven Wonders style game. But it doesn't officially use that moniker to promote the game. The copy I have was given to me by the publisher with no expectations on producing content, but they will have no input, nor will they even see this video prior to its release, and all the views that I will express in this video are my own, and I actively encourage you to gain as many opinions before making a purchase yourself. That being said, let's cut to the top down cam for a quick game overview, and I'll be back with you shortly to give you my final thoughts on the game. Okay guys, so here we are somewhat set up halfway through the game. It's randomly set up, this isn't an actual game, I've just sort of staged it a little bit, but just to give you a rough idea of the overview of this game. So in the game, you will be taking one action, and the actions are basically pick up a card from this little display here and play it to your tableau in front of you, or discard that card to gain coins equal to the chapter value. So if this was chapter 1, if I decided to pick up this card here and it was of no use to me, I could discard it and I would get 1 coin, 2 coins for chapter 2, 3 coins for chapter 3, etc, etc. Various cards here do various different things. Now the main thing that you're going to be having in front of you is symbols, and symbols will help you achieve these objectives here. And achieving these objectives will help you to add towers and stuff to the dominance board over here, which is another victory condition. So the ways to win the game are, if you are playing as the Fellowship, you want to get the hobbits all the way to the end of the track and destroy the Ring of Power. If you are playing as Sauron, you want to catch up with the hobbits before they achieve their goal in order to win the game. And the other way to win is, of course, dominance over Middle-earth. So if at any point you are in every single location on the map, you would be declared the winner. So a very quick look as to what things do within the game. As I said, these grey cards here at the top here, they've literally got symbols on, they add towards achieving that. So you want those in your tableau. Some cards will actually have a cost on them, which is down here under the colour line. For example, this one has a book. It requires a book skill in my tableau here in order for me to play it. If I cannot play it in my tableau, I don't have that skill, I have to discard that card and gain the coin. But one thing that I will say about these cards is you will also get a little flag up in the corner, and how they work is later on in the game you might find a corresponding card that has that flag as a cost. If you have the corresponding flag, it means you do not have to have these skill requirements in order to play that card. So in other words, that's an elf convincing another elf to join the fight. It's quite a handy little thing to have. These gold cards are the easiest ones. They are just gain gold. So for example, if I picked up this one, I'm going to gain 2 gold for it. Nice and simple. The blue cards are ring cards. Again, very simple. This one has a cost. I'd have to pay a coin in order to use it. But once I've paid that coin, I get to move. If I'm the Fellowship, I get to slide the entire thing up by 1, or if I am Sauron's army, I slide up the Nazgul by 1 on the track. As I said, Nazgul wants to catch the hobbits, hobbits want to get to Mordor and burn the Ring of Power. That's the blue ones. And then finally, we have the war ones. These are going to allow you to add troops to the Middle-earth map to try and aim towards that dominant victory. So it'd be nice and simple. This one is place 1 troop at either one or the other flag areas. So in this instance, I'm going to stick one just here because they've already got a tower over in the other one. So now I'm in 4 locations at the moment. I'm dominating that map. So that's quite a handy one to have as well. Another symbol there to help me a bit later on. The other ones you can get are these green ones, which we sort of talked about already. But if at any point, like these, you gain 2 that have exactly the same symbol on, you get to draw the top 2 of that symbol on these tokens up here, and you get to pick one to keep for yourself and use throughout the game. If you have 3 different symbols on there, let's pretend that's a different one, I get to draw the top 1 of each of those decks and pick one of those. And then the other thing that comes from these ones as well, if you manage to get 6 different symbols, you have rallied the races, and that is also a game-ending victory condition. So if you get 6 different symbols on these green cards, you will win the game. The game goes on for 3 chapters, so this was all set up for the first chapter. For example, once all these cards are gone, a new chapter will be revealed and new cards will be placed out here in a different order as well. Once that round is finished, you will go over to the third and final deck. Once all these cards are gone from here, that will be deemed the end of the game. And if no one has achieved a victory condition at that point, it will be decided by dominance of this board over here. But to be honest, the likelihood is someone will have achieved a victory condition by the end of Chapter 3. If you haven't, then yeah, it's going to be a dominance victory, and you've probably just been selling cards left, right and centre. So there you go. That is a very quick overview of Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. Let's go back up to the other camera and talk about components and what we think of the game. So guys, that is the overview of the game and how it plays, etc. So let's just have a very quick breakdown of the components that come in the game, what we do like and what we don't. For the most part, it is a very positive affair with this game production. Let's start, of course, with the artwork. The artwork that's on the box throughout the game, on the cards, on the tracker here, it's all absolutely fantastic. It's evidently clear that this is based on the books as opposed to the movies, where they could have just taken movie stills in order to keep the costs down of hiring an artist. And speaking of costs, they haven't held back on that either. They've brought in the big guns with the Vincent Dutray doing the artwork for this, and he's done an absolutely stunning job. You know, captured the elements of what you would have got from the books, and indeed the films as well. Most people will know Lord of the Rings from the films, right? So you kind of have to have something in there that ties it in with that. But that being said, the artwork is absolutely stunning. You know, a lot of these pieces, like the track here, it looks like an art piece that you're playing on, which is fantastic. So I cannot complain about the art within the game. For me, though, I think the standout components has to be the little screen printed castle towers, and of course the army men in there as well. They're really, really nice. They're incredibly well done. They're cut nicely. There's very little bits in there that look like it's had any kind of production issues at all. So that's really, really cool. The track here that you use for the sliding up and down, there is almost no friction on this, which is fantastic, because it does mean that the game isn't derailed by having to, you know, trying to hold it with 2 hands and force things along and stuff like that, and including the Nazgul on the top there as well. That slides all nicely, and they could easily have had tiny bits of production, you know, misalignments and stuff like that, which would have really hindered the gameplay, with having to keep stopping and re-putting things there. Doesn't happen. It's really well done. Fantastic production quality on this game. Final thing I have to mention is, of course, as you can see, we have a very nice box insert that keeps everything nicely in place. It is not a plastic insert, which is even better, so that's great for the environment, but it is an incredibly well-designed thing. You've got cards in there which are holding the coins in, you've got cards in that one which will hold the towers in, and then cards in this one which hold the troops in there as well. You've got the individual cutouts, as you can see there, for the tokens, and of course one for the Nazgul at the end there as well. These tiles all fit in there nicely. There's no box lift whatsoever. Very, very impressed with that insert. Big thumbs up, Repurpose Productions, for that. With regards to the gameplay, that is where it is at in this game, because the game is providing a nice, an easy to understand rule set that is also strategic, and multiple paths to victory for either of the factions. I get the distinct feeling, though, the percentage of win ratios will favour the map domination side of the game, as opposed to the sliding paths here. I'm also yet to see anyone, they talk about in the game that, someone could win at any point, right? They could win immediately is the words that they say. But I'm yet to see anyone actually achieve a victory prior to the start of the third chapter. Now, I think that's actually something that's been incorporated at design/development stage. I don't think it's actually possible to win prior to the start of that third round. However, I'm open to being proved wrong. So if you have won a game before the third chapter, let me know down in the comments. I also like the challenge presented to me when playing the game with enough replay value to warrant staying in my collection, as I don't get to play two-player games that often. However, if you do play two-player games quite regularly, then maybe this game will lack, I guess, the desired replay value that you might want if you're going to be playing it quite frequently. So maybe that's something to consider should this be a game that you are interested in. If you're planning on playing it a lot in a short space of time, then maybe that replay value might not quite be there. But I do think there is enough there really to justify the price that I'm seeing it go for online at the minute. Something I'm not particularly a fan of in this game is actually the reliance on the symbology within the game. Some of it just isn't very intuitive, and I mean, this problem is more prevalent because I have a German copy of the game. Now, the game is language independent, so really that makes no difference. However, it's almost essential. I had to print out the rules in English, which was fine, but what I didn't initially do was actually print this reference sheet. Now, the reference sheet obviously has all of the symbology on it and explains what it is. I didn't realise just how essential that reference sheet was actually going to be, because a lot of the symbology just was not intuitive. It didn't really make sense as to what those symbols actually meant. So I would say it's not a problem if you're going to buy an English copy of the game, because it will come in English and you'll always have that. But it's not one of those games that you can learn the rules and then leave everything in the box while you're playing the game. I get the feeling that for some time, this rules reference sheet will be out on the table and people will be referencing it quite often because, as I said, some of the symbology is just not that intuitive, really. That being said, that is a minor inconvenience. So if you can overlook that, then fantastic. So guys, for my summary of The Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth, there we go, I've done the full title for you. My summary for this is that this is a very good, solid game with a decent amount of replay value for the financial investment, right? At the time of recording, I think I had a very quick look before. I think it retails for something like £28, £30 bracket, but I'm seeing it sell for about the £22 mark, which I think is kind of a bargain, really, for what you're getting here. You know, even if you get a limited amount of plays out of this, that's actually pretty good game to financial ratio, right? I'm very happy with that. Couple that with the production quality of this game, which I think is sublime. The art styling is sublime. And it's just a fun little game. I will definitely be keeping it in my collection for a little while. I will more than likely buy myself a British copy of the game. So, as I said, this one was given to me by Repost Productions for the purpose of basically checking it out. They didn't say I had to do any content, but I wanted to do content for it. So there you go. That's why you've got this video. So that is The Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. I have been Jason. You have been watching The Meeple Minded. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things. You know, comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel for more, because we are going to try and really push this channel this year. And yeah, stick with all that wonderful goodness, and I will see you on the next one.